Hello, happy campers. Spike here, and welcome back to Geekin Out. This is an episode I honestly wasn't expecting to record because this is an aftermath episode, and the aftermath is the episode of Geekin Out now I do movie reviews for movies I've actually seen. Now, one of the things I've been saying on previous episodes that I had no intention of seeing Captain America Brave New World. The reason why is because Marvel's burned their bridges with me. I'm sick of all the stunt casting. I'm sick of all the race swapping and all the social justice nonsense, and just wasn't really in the mood for what is essentially ground zero of that. But the beloved wife came up with a very good point, as she usually does. How can I criticize something if I have not actually gone through the effort of watching it? And like I said, when she's right, she's right. And so, deferring to the beloved wife and her advice, I decided to swallow my pride, grit my teeth, gird my loins, and get ready to watch Captain America Brave New World. Now, this is not an immediate reaction, which is what aftermath usually is, but I wanted to sit down and chew on this, what I experienced, for a couple of days before I get into an actual review. Now, first of all, a quick shout out to all the guys out at 10th Frame Cinema. Love you guys. You have one of the most thankless jobs in the world when movies like this come out, but so a quick shout out to them. Now, I'm not going to go through the movie plot line by plot point because I honestly don't know what it was. I have seen some things that I had criticized being addressed here, and we saw a lot of Anthony Mackie's eyelashes. Saw a lot of that, but we'll get into that in a minute. So, where in the world to start? Let's start with my past criticisms of this film. This film has been snake bit for a while. It has undergone countless reshoots. It's undergone rewrites. It's had more stuff put in. It's had stuff taken out. There's a lot of things that wound up in the cutting room floor. This movie is a lot shorter than it was originally intended to be, and it's a 2-hour movie, which is for a superhero movie, you really got to be compelling to pull off a 2-hour show. This wasn't it. Now, that's not to say this movie was necessarily as bad as I was afraid it would be. There were some interesting points. They did address Isaiah Bradley. Remember I talked last episode about Captain America Red, White, and Black. They have adapted the character into this movie, and he does play a major role in the movie. He was essentially the Captain America before Captain America. In the movie, what they're claiming is that Isaiah Bradley was actually given the an attempt to duplicate the super soldier serum after Professor Erskine, the creator of it, was murdered by the Nazis. And that left Steve Rogers alone. So they decided to try to duplicate it, and they were trying it out on black men at probably the Tuskegee Institute, because they do love to name check. But he does play a major role in this movie, and it's an interesting take on it because Bradley was invited by Sam Wilson, who is currently carrying the Captain America shield, to join him and the new Falcon, Joaquin Torres, at the White House, because now Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, one of the leading villains of the Marvel Universe, both the cinematic and the comic book universe, is now not only the president, he's now being played by Harrison Ford after William Hurt passed away. Now, I will say this. Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson. Anthony Mackie, I have no problems with him as an actor at all. I have no problems with the character of Sam Wilson at all. But throughout this movie, we see him wearing a modified version of the Captain America outfit, but he's got now vibranium wings, which can apparently cut through just about anything. And he still has the shield. Okay, yeah. That gives the character of Captain America not so much the character of Captain America, it gives the writers of Captain America movies more of an opportunity to not just get out of difficult situations they put themselves in, but it also gives them a great chance to show off spectacular aerial stunts and yada yada. I have no problem with Anthony Mackie at all. In fact, Anthony Mackie, bless his little heart, he really did work hard to try to pull this movie off. And it's notorious online that at one point Mackie just dropped everything and screamed to anyone who would listen, will somebody give me a freaking script? And so Anthony Mackie is a dedicated actor. He's a good actor. He did very well in this role. I actually enjoyed Anthony Mackie, and hopefully you enjoy Anthony Mackie, especially his face, because there are a lot of close-ups of Anthony Mackie. A lot of close-ups. A lot of close-ups. He gets a lot of headshots because Disney, Marvel, had to keep reshooting scenes, and in order to make them make any kind of sense, they had to have something to connect them. What connected them all? Sam Wilson. So you will become intimately familiar with Anthony Mackie's long, luxurious eyelashes. Trust me on that one. Harrison Ford, on the other hand, pretty much phoned this one in. Harrison Ford is a legend in Hollywood because he's been a great leading man. And when he feels involved in a particular project, then he actually is a pretty good actor. Not here. He knows that he's filling in a role. He's a stand-in. They needed somebody to pick up the role from William Hurt, and this is not something I don't think he wanted to do, but the paycheck was just too good for him to ignore it. Harrison Ford's ready to retire. I mean, the man is way up there. But for as much as Anthony Mackie carried the film, and Carl Lumbly as Isaiah Bradley, bless his little heart, he did a good job trying to. Yes, and Morgana's making a special guest appearance again. Carl Lumbly actually tried to do a really good job of portraying Isaiah Bradley with his very long history that dates back to World War II, honestly, because they wanted more Captain Americas. Yes, I know. Now, you wind up with Joaquin Torres. That's Danny Ramirez playing that character. He's the new Falcon. They want to give Sam Wilson a morality pet. They want to make sure that the Falcon remains an ethnic hero. Danny Ramirez is a nice guy, I'm sure, and I'm sure he's a good actor. I couldn't tell you what else he was in because I don't care. But honestly, seeing him playing the role of the Falcon is extraneous at best. It really is optional. There are a number of characters involved in here. The Serpent Society is involved in this. I don't know why. Basically, Giancarlo Esposito came in as Sidewinder, and he's the guy who honestly knows more. The character knows more than he's saying, and he winds up giving Sam Wilson the lead he needs to make the connections between all the garbage that's going on and Thaddeus Ross. And spoiler alert, the leader's there too. The leader is the guy who got gamma radiated and was, but instead of becoming big and bulky and hulking out, he became what he thought was a super genius. His brain swelled instead of the rest of his body. The leader has this idea of manipulating Thaddeus Ross and Sam Wilson and Isaiah Bradley and Falcon and everybody else into playing his little game where he's going to essentially crash the United States and just show everybody how fake America is. And he's going to do it. And in the process, he's going to tick off the Indians. He's going to tick off the Japanese. He's going to tick everybody off. It doesn't end well for him. We'll just say that. The one thing that really stuck out to me in this movie, there was one thing that really stuck out to me in this movie, aside from Harrison Ford's phone-in delivery. That is the fact that this is a very disjointed movie. You can tell that they changed the plot roughly. In the movie, it happens about a third of the way through because the focus switches from entirely on the Serpent Society, and suddenly it all focuses exclusively on the leader, with Sidewinder and making an occasional appearance. This is a very disjointed movie. One of the first credits you see after the movie ends is how many writers were involved. They had 5 screenwriters given credit. That's not counting the uncredited ones. That's no doubt legion. They had 5 writers involved in the screenplay in 3 different teams. Now, for those of you who don't know, I'll give you a quick pro tip on how to read a screenwriter credit. When you see a screenwriter, or a producer, or a director, or anything like that, although it's most common to screenwriters, if you see an ampersand, the ampersand means that those two work together. If you see 3 of them joined by ampersands, the 3 of them work together on the script. If you see the word "and" on the other hand, that word "and" means that that person worked on the script before the people getting the top billing. This one had 5 writers in 3 teams. Okay, you had 2 writers, an ampersand, the letter "and," the word "and." You had 2 more with an ampersand, another word "and," and then one guy who originally wrote the script that probably has nothing to do whatsoever with this movie. Another thing about movies is that sometimes you'll see story credits. These are guys who wrote out essentially a prose version of what the movie should be, covering the main plot points and stuff. That one had 3 writers, an ampersand and a word "and." So in other words, we've had a total 8 people involved in the writing of this film. But it all comes down to one guy who made sure his name was all over this movie, Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige is listed as an executive producer right at the beginning of the film. He is listed as an executive producer at the end of the film. He made sure his fingerprints were all over it. He gets the blame. Now, I'm sure he thought he was going to get the credit, but honestly, after seeing what I saw, he deserved the blame. The film, you can tell it was cut up. You can tell it was chopped up. Honestly, by the time it was done, it was more hamburger than anything else. It was like mixing ground beef with ground pork with a lot of ground turkey. And the whole thing is not unpalatable. It's not that you shouldn't watch the film because it's unwatchable. The film is watchable, but you're going to have a hard time keeping up with it. And the film is definitely not worth a second viewing. All right, so getting those critiques aside, yes for Anthony Mackie, no for Harrison Ford, yes for Carl Lumbly, no for having 8 different writers on this film. I can't think of any other yeses. No for Kevin Feige. Now, on the rule of 5, we hear it, well, I hear it at Geekin Out, have a rule of 5. When for movies, theatrical releases, it breaks down like this. I'll give it a 5 if it's good enough for a Saturday night with a date, paying full admission. A 4 if it's good for a discounted afternoon matinee. A 3 if you should wait to get it on Blu-ray or DVD. 2 if you're just going to catch it on Netflix or Disney Plus. A 1 maybe if you catch it for free on Pluto TV, and 0 is not even drunk. For Captain America: Brave New World, I'm going to give it a 2. I would not suggest getting a Disney Plus movie just to watch this film. But if you already have a Disney Plus subscription and you haven't seen the film in the theaters, hey, go ahead and give it a try and see if you could keep up with it. I'm going to recommend that you get a steno pad and a pencil with a nice clean eraser, because you're going to need to take some notes. So that's the end of my critique of Captain America: Brave New World. 2 out of 5, which is honestly better than what I thought it was going to be. And most of that is thanks to Anthony Mackie and Carl Humbly. So, on behalf of the crew here at Geekin Out, that's me, and the beloved wife, and the cat, Morgana, who has abandoned me now, apparently, and, of course, my constant watching over my shoulder, Chris, I want to say thank you all for geeking out. Thanks for putting up with me and listening to yet another rambling episode. If you like the episode, please go down and like the episode. You can find us on Twitter now. I am posting videos on Twitter in full. You can also catch me still on our Who What Where YouTube channel, our Who What Where Rumble channel, which is our preferred spot. And you can also catch us on our audio podcast through Spotify and Anchor. You should be able to find that on Apple Podcasts and any other, whatever you use for your podcast. Make sure you like the episode. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. If you like this show and the other shows, and I swear there are other shows coming, I promise. If you like these shows, please recommend the show for other people. Let's start getting the word out there. And if I start building an audience, who knows? Maybe I'll actually get around to posting more episodes if you really want to listen to an old goofball ramble. And but before I close, I do want to say one thing, because we are closing in on 17 minutes here. I do want to say one thing. Shout out to the little girl and her hubby, her new hubby. Thanks to them, I am now going to be a grandfather for the first time. And I'm announcing that here because, quite frankly, nobody else is going to listen to me in real life, right? So until next time, lots of love. God bless, God keep, Godspeed. Y'all keep on geeking out. Night all.